All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, this meeting is going to be recorded, so the folks that join a little bit late can watch the entirety of it once we get this up on our YouTube channel. Welcome to the Economic Development Committee's regularly scheduled guest speaker events. We try to have these at least once a month, and this month we are welcoming Chad Adams, who's the District 4 engineer for RDOT. Chad will explain the facts around the proposed constitutional amendment known as Issue 1. That issue will be on the November 2020 general election ballot. Issue 1 will ask voters if they want to extend the current 1/2 cent sales tax that is set to expire in June of 2023. The revenue from this tax is dedicated to maintaining and improving Arkansas state highways, county roads, and city streets. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chad Adams with RDOT. Chad, you are now a co-host, and you can share your screen if you like.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I certainly can.
All right. Let me get this set up here and can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. As you know, our director Tudor was supposed to be the one giving the presentation today, but she was unable to make it. Had a subcommittee with the legislation about state highways, so they took precedence, obviously. So as you mentioned, Issue 1 is what I would like to visit with you about and explain just kind of what the issue is all about, and hopefully educate you as a voter and give you information that you can share with your friends and family. And we're not campaigning for the issue or against it. We just simply want to present the facts to you. So just kind of get started, show you some slides of pictures of state highways, believe it or not, around the state, and what some of our highways have gotten into a state of bad repair. For the last few decades, the department has not had enough funding to keep up with the system's needs or to meet the public's expectations, obviously. So how did we get here? It's primarily because our main revenue source is a flat tax that you pay when you buy gas at the pumps. So the amount of funding that we receive is tied directly to the number of gallons of gasoline that are sold or consumed. As you know, though, that the goal of our nation is to reduce that consumption, to make cars more fuel efficient, trucks more fuel efficient, but it doesn't change the number of miles that people are driving. So our revenues have stayed fairly flat over the years. Along with those flat revenues, though, the cost of highway construction has gone up steadily and dramatically. You see there in 1998, we could overlay about 200 million miles with a $10 million program. And 20 years later, we're down to less than half of that is what we can accomplish. So that kind of wraps up. I mean, the challenge basically is, as you can see on this slide, we have in the state of Arkansas, the number of lane miles that we have on our highway system is the 12th largest system in the country. So we have more miles than California does, more than New York, more than Florida. But because of our population and consumption of gasoline, we're 41st in revenue when it comes to being able to maintain the highways. So when you look at that long term, it's $480 million shortfall per year. When you look at a 10-year future, I mean, you're short $4.8 billion in being able to maintain the system that we have. So to help address those challenges, back in 2012, Arkansas voters passed a temporary 1/2 cent sales tax. It's a 10-year tax. As you mentioned when you introduced me, it is set to expire in June of 2023. That money is not just going to the department 70% of it goes to state highways. The other 30% is divided evenly, 15% to counties and 15% to cities to help them fund their roads and streets. That program that the voters voted on, I really like to show this slide and talk about it because part of the reason or the way that we were able to gain support and get the voters engaged and on board with this was to lay out a program that we were going to accomplish with those funds. And as you can see, we've completed 17 of those projects. We have 11 under construction and 3 more scheduled. So we're looking at a $2 billion program, and I'm pleased to say that we are going to accomplish that work. So not only did we make promises, we delivered on those promises as well. Some of those projects you can, just one that's kind of local to you, I'll go back just real quick. You can look there in Northwest Arkansas. I'll use my little laser pointer. I figured out how to use that this morning on PowerPoint. So anyway, there's a lot of work going on or has gone on in Northwest Arkansas, as you all are well aware. So just one of those projects is, as I said, that 412 bypass to the west there. If you would like more information on that program, there's a website there at the bottom of the screen so that you can go to that and see information about all the projects that have been accomplished with that program. So on November 3rd, the question at hand is what do we do with that existing sales tax? A vote for the sales or for the issue extends or makes permanent that half-cent sales tax after June of 2023. A vote against it just simply means that the sales tax goes away, and it means on average the average household will get another $8 per month to add back into their budget. So keeping kind of the same thought process as the original CAP program, the department put together a 10-year plan. So if this issue passes, what would we hope to accomplish over the next 10 years with that? So our commissioners met and established a plan to spend $3 billion of that on pavement preservation. That will improve about 7,000 miles of non-interstate highways, $1.1 billion on bridge improvements and preservation. The goal there is to replace or repair every structurally deficient and posted bridge in the state. Another $1 billion for interstates, and then $1.8 billion for what we're calling CAP 2. So remember, the original sales tax is for that CAP program. So CAP 2 is just to set aside some of this sales tax money to be able to accomplish these bigger projects, interchanges, widening, different types of congestion relief. And then a $500 million set aside for safety specific issues as they are identified. This map represents the work that we, it's kind of a pictorial form of that $3 million or $3 billion of pavement preservation. I would note that tax, like I said, this is projected to start in 2024 when the original sales tax expires. So the CAP 2 program, so that first slide, the one that I just showed you was a 10-year projection. This slide represents a 20-year projection for the CAP 2 program. So 1.8 billion for 10 years times 2, so 3.6 billion over that 20-year time period. These are the projects that we have in mind to do work and accomplish with that tax. Kind of a more close-up of the area that for Fayetteville and our region. You can see there at the top of the screen, $100 million set aside for the 112 corridor. currently have money set aside for it in our budget, but this would add another 100 million to be able to accomplish more and quicker. Got your XNA connector with $30 million. Again, that has money that's earmarked for it in our current program, but this again would help it speed along. And then you're looking at money set aside for the western leg of the 612 bypass over to Tawnytown, and then another $80 million to get over to Highway 265 to the east. A little further south than you are, but projects that I think are definitely of interest to the region is a connection to Fort Smith. And we would hope to build 2 lanes of Interstate 49 across the Arkansas River down into Fort Smith and the River Valley. We already have this piece built between where it ties into Highway 22 and Fort Smith down to 71. And then this is a 4-lane highway down, and the 4-lane ends about right here on the south side of Greenwood. So we would hope to also build 2 lanes from Y City up to Greenwood. So Y City is down here on the south side of Scott County up to Greenwood. So a lot of work that we would hope to accomplish with that sales tax. However, if issue 1 fails, beginning in July of 2023, the department and cities and counties will see about a 30% reduction in the funding for roads or bridges. That's a little over $200 million per year for the department, and then split amongst all the cities and counties, they will see about a $44 million reduction. We will not be able to do the program that I just kind of highlighted. Cities and counties are going to see a pretty deep cut in their budgets. And unfortunately, we will be in a position of trying to figure out how to manage probably the decline of the state highway system. So as I pointed out earlier, that our primary revenue source is a flat tax, and it's declining, and highway construction costs are continuing to go up. So we will not be able to keep up with the maintenance that's necessary to keep our system in a state of good repair. So a little closer to home, what that, the big numbers for overall, but just for Washington County and the road department there, they would see a loss of 1.6 million a year, and the city of Fayetteville would see pretty much the equivalent $1.7 million per year. So between now and then, between now and the election, we are trying to get in front of as many people as we can just to educate our voters and let them know what's at stake. You've probably seen some ads now have been launched by some stakeholders that support good roads. That doesn't, I mean, the department is not in any way tied to that, the advertisements or the funding of those. And some key takeaways that they're trying to highlight is that the average family is paying around $8 per month because of that tax. And if you do the math and back calculate a 1/2-cent sales tax to get to $8 per month, and that would mean that you're paying that tax on about $1,600 worth of goods per month, and that does not include groceries. So you can kind of look at your own budget and decide whether or not you're paying more or less for that because of that tax. I personally don't feel like I spend $1,600 a month on goods other than groceries, but I may be in the minority on that. So it is not an increase or a decrease in the tax that you're paying right now. It just simply continues the tax that we are currently paying, and it is only for road improvements. So what do we feel like are the benefits from $8 a month, or their 27 cents a day? First and foremost is just the increased safety. Obviously, good roads are safe roads. We feel like a well-maintained and adequate system is one. It's obviously one of the first things that businesses consider when they're looking at whether or not to locate in an area. So we feel like it will expand job opportunities and make our wages more competitive. You'll obviously have better and quicker access to the things that you want to get to, your jobs and recreation. It's less cost in the wear and tear on your vehicles. And we feel like you'll buy less fuel because there's less congestion and you won't be sitting in traffic quite as long. So, but in reality, this is your system. And as taxpayer, since it's really up to you to decide how that looks. The next slide is a video. I hope it works. It should work. It's just a kind of a video that's been put together to kind of summarize everything that I've talked to you about. So let's try this.
Arkansas, where work ethic is passed down through generations and innovation is encouraged young, where companies can start small and become international businesses. Year after year, the state is growing, but its foundation, thousands of highway miles, is crumbling, making roads dangerous and in desperate need of repair. So working across the aisle with leaders across Arkansas, Governor Asa Hutchinson paved the way for a solution.
And yet today in 2019, we're passing a highway plan of $300 million to the state of Arkansas to support the maintenance and construction of highways and infrastructure. But it also includes a referral to the voters that they can make the decision and gives them the final say-so.
Not only will this program create thousands of construction jobs, it's also set to generate billions of dollars in economic activity, helping people and products move efficiently and compete in the 21st century economy, all without raising taxes. Together, we can create more jobs, build better roads, and make a safer Arkansas for our growing population. And under this plan, all Arkansans benefit. Renew Arkansas Highways.
Okay, so assuming that worked and you can hear the audio to go along with that, we feel like Arkansans are about to make probably one of the most important decisions that has ever been made about the future of our roads. So I guess what we would ask is that you help us educate voters, talk to your family and your friends, your coworkers. We believe the facts speak for themselves. But if they don't know the facts, then it's going to be a difficult sell for some people if they just see the tax without any information to go along with it. So we hope that everybody's able to get the information that they need. We do have some informational brochures that we can either email them to you, we can mail them to you, or you can get them off of our website. There's a video of this presentation, not this one that I'm giving, but just a video that our director has put together to basically, it covers the same information, but you can view that video at that website there at the bottom of your screen, the ardot.gov/renew. We hope that we can make some progress over these next 6 weeks, and we're looking forward to the future and just the opportunities that we hope this is going to provide us. So a vote for the issue is not a new tax. It's just continuing the existing tax. A vote for or against the issue will result in a 30% reduction in the funding for our state highways, our county roads, and our city streets. So I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to kind of open it up to questions. I don't know if I need to stop sharing the screen or how you want to do that, but
yeah, I'll take that. We'll stop sharing the screen and there we go. And we will, since I'm recording, I'm going to put this on speaker view. And if everyone, please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you have. If you would prefer, you can put your question in the chat function and I will ask it for you. All right. Chris, if you're wanting to ask a question, you can either unmute your, there you go, you're unmuted now.
All right, you got me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Chad, for coming and speaking to us. I have two questions. One, I don't see the interchange at I-49 and MLK. I think that's funded elsewhere, but if you could maybe talk about that a little bit, just to make sure that is an important one. And also, can you talk about how the funding for alternative transportation trails, other opportunities like that, maybe benefit from this funding? How will that work?
Yes, you are correct on the interchange. Both the MLK and the Weddington interchange have other funding set aside already, so that work is not dependent on the passing or failure of this issue one tax. So, and if we do have time, I have some other slides that I can show you just to kind of give you an update on the work that is going on in the area and what's upcoming over the next few years. So I figured I would get finished speaking a little earlier than the 45 minutes. So I can be happy to share that with anybody if y'all want to see it. As far as the other alternative transportation stuff, I don't know for sure. I can't help but assume that it would be beneficial. Obviously, every a bit of funding that we can get to take care of our highways frees up some funds to do other things. And I don't even know that frees up is the right word, because I mean, this additional tax base is still short of what we really feel like we need. If you remember there on that slide, I showed about $4.8 billion or 4.8 million a year that we feel like we need just to maintain our system. And this half-cent sales tax brings in about a little over 200 million per year. But there was another part of, or another legislative action, Act 416 was passed back in January, and in October, the fuel tax was increased. It's about 3 cents per gallon on vehicles and 6 cents per gallon on trucks. And then some registration fees on electric and hybrid vehicles, and then some casino revenue. So 3 different sources there of income. That's going to provide about $95 million a year once the casinos are up and running. So when you add the 95 plus the 205, you're at 300 million a year. So it's definitely much closer to what the needs are. So anyway, I got distracted there. I called it freed up some funds. I just have to believe that would be able, it would allow us to be able to participate more with these alternative modes of transportation. I hope that answers your question.
Any more questions from the audience?
Hey, Mr. Chenault, thanks, Chad, for sharing with us. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Judge Wood, we
Yes.
certainly can.
Absolutely. Hey, Director Tudor came and visited with the judges a couple of weeks ago, talking to all the county judges. She did a phenomenal job, and Chad, you did a good job as well. Clearly a important issue here. I think the other piece that doesn't get said a lot is while we want to see issue 1 pass, Benton County, Washington County, even Pulaski County, we would struggle without having it. But I think some other counties would be decimated without it. I mean, we would lose about 1.6, 1.7 million without having this, which allows us to do some projects and work on do some special projects. But we have a pretty stout budget. This allows us to do some extra roads, some extra bridges, et cetera. And so very important to us to have this. But I do know that many other counties, they don't have the type of tax base, et cetera. And so not having this pass would devastate counties across the board. because they so wholly rely on this. So again, it doesn't get said a lot. I just wanted to make sure that that is mentioned as well, that while some counties may be okay without having this issue one pass, the other counties just would not sustain. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Good job. And I think also on the question I think Chris just asked about the trails and other pieces, clearly having good, safe roads, better roads, and allowing people to navigate, getting to these various counties will allow us obviously to continue to benefit from the various trails and parks that we have. So thanks, Zane.
Oh, thank you. That's a great comment. You know, I didn't even think about that myself, but I mean, I'm from Bradley County, Drew County, and you're right. It would destroy those two counties without it. So
Absolutely.
very good
Absolutely.
point. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yep.
And I do have a question from an audience member, and he's wanting to know, is there any organization opposed to the approval of the issue 1? So does, I guess, Chad or anyone on the call, is anyone aware of an organization or a group that is organizing around opposing the approval of this issue?
Yeah, there's a couple of groups that I can't remember offhand who they are, but they are opposed to a permanent tax. So they're putting out some ads against it, which is obviously their rights to do so. But that's two groups. I want to say it's the Sierra Club, and I can't remember the second one, and I'm not even certain that Sierra Club is the right one.
All right, thank you for that. You mentioned some informational brochures. If you will email me those, I will make sure that I get those out, distributed through the chamber distribution. We've got about 3,000 emails, and I can get those brochures distributed for you electronically if you'd like.
Sure, yeah, I can do that.
Any more questions for Mr. Adams? If not, I, for one, am interested in a short update on local projects. Chad, you mentioned that you had a couple slides you could possibly share.
Yes, yeah. If you want to give me the control back, I will pull that up.
You're still co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Okay. So this is information that's available on our website. So there's nothing. The only thing I did was added some dates to the slide. Just kind of start here in the upper northwest. So this is a project on 112. It continues from, well, basically starts here at Great House Springs Road up to 412. That project's scheduled for spring of 2023. Another one scheduled for spring of 2023 from there down to Howard Nickel. The project from 49 to Howard Nickel is scheduled for spring of 2022. Let's see, this one is a pavement preservation project that starts there at Interstate 49 and goes across 71B, Old Route Expressway, up through Springdale. Is scheduled for 2022. The piece of 112 there in Fayetteville to finish out kind of the 4-lane through town up to the interstate is currently scheduled for next fall. The one Chris was asking about, the Weddington interchange there, we're supposed to open bids on that in November. Hopefully we'll get acceptable bids and be able to award that project. The one at MLK is scheduled for 2022. And then some active projects that we have going. This is Highway 16, kind of on the south side of town, going across from 71, well, what used to be 71, east towards Elkins. Got two little parts of this project is ongoing. It's just getting started, so we're still probably at least a year and a half away from seeing that one being completed. We have an active pavement preservation job on Highway 265 or crossover road between Highway 16 and Highway 45. That one should finish up this month, unless there's just something completely unexpected happens, but that should finish up fairly quickly. And then another project to kind of widen Highway 16 out towards Elkins across that first bridge that was widened. The second bridge was out here. We won't be able to get that far yet, but just another kind of extension of that 4-lane is scheduled for the fall of 2022. So I'll kind of zoom back out. I think that's everything other than a project over here in Farmington. Everything in blue is stuff that's been completed in the last 10 years. And down below is just a list of all of the different projects that have been accomplished and kind of information on those. So that's kind of boring it's in itself, but if you're interested in it, that's all is on our website. I can kind of share that link with Zane as well if that's something you want to see.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll forward that link out to everyone that signed up and even the folks that signed up and didn't make it. I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of that. There is also a question Judge Wood would like to know, can we get a copy of your presentation?
Yes, yeah, I can email you a PDF of the PowerPoint. Absolutely. It'll also be on our website as well, but I'll go ahead and email it to you.
Great, and I'll get that out to the appropriate committees as well.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now.
All right, anybody else from the audience have a question? You can either ask it, unmute yourself and ask it, or public chat, or send me a private chat if you prefer, however you would like to ask the question. All right then, folks, Chad, very much appreciate your time. For the folks that joined, thank you also for your time. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, our technology sponsor, Cox Business, who made this technology possible for us. And with that, one last shot at questions. Otherwise, I will end the meeting. All right. Thanks again, Chad. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Zane.
Sorry. Someone's got a question. Maybe. Wayne, if you're trying to ask a question, you are not coming through.
I just said, thanks for his presentation to Chad.
Okay, thanks.
I was asking, we are going to be able to get those slides, Zane?
Yes,
Would that be
sir.
possible?
Yes, Judge Wood, Chad's going to send them to me and I will get all this information out to the group and I'll make sure you get a copy as well.
Perfect. Good job, Chad.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, everybody. Y'all have a good day.